Okay, here we go. Lesson 7.2. We're going to be multiplying some polynomials. So what are you going to learn? You're going to multiply the binomials. You're going to use the FOIL method, which is just one of the three methods I will show you. And then multiply binomials and trinomials all in this one lesson. So when we're talking about this, we're talking about the product of two polynomials, and the answer is it's always a polynomial that you get as a product. So let's see, we can use the distributive property. This is the main idea in the main form. So when you think about it, you have x plus 2 times x plus 5. What we have to do is multiply x times the x and the 5. We have to multiply 2 times the x and the 5, and then combine like terms. So you can kind of see this. They made this one colored red, this one colored blue. They split up the red, so we have the x times this x plus 5, and then 2 times x plus 5. You get all these different terms, right? Combine like terms to get your final answer. I probably will not show you the vertical method, but if you want to pause the video and kind of read through this example part B, you can kind of see the vertical method as well. So let's look at distributive property. So we want to take, let's get a color here. This x times this x times this 1. Then you're going to take this -2 times x and -2 times -1. So to write that out, okay, and then we have this -2 times, so notice we're adding the products that we get together, even though this is a -2, but I'm keeping the sign, that negative, with it so that you know that you're distributing a -2 to these. All right, so we get x squared minus x, and then I'm just going to ignore this, but I know that I'm adding, but it's -2 times x, so that's a -2x, and a -2 times -1 is a +2. The like terms are right here in the middle, so x squared minus 3x plus 2, and you will be recording this in your student journal. You can find these examples starting on page 212. Okay, so why don't you give this a try? Why don't you do number 2? Pause the video. I will move right ahead to number 3. So I'm going to rewrite this as g times the g plus 4, and then plus, and then 2 times the g plus 4. All right, so we'll get g squared plus 4g plus 2g plus 8. Like terms are right here in the middle. G squared plus 6g plus 8. Doesn't get much simpler than that. We're literally just multiplying every term in the first binomial times each term in the second binomial. All right, next up, we will be looking at another method for doing the multiplication. So we could use a table. So notice how they've taken the first binomial and they split it up into the two boxes on the table. The second binomial is split up here. It doesn't really matter where you put them, right? You could put the x plus 5 here and the 2x minus 3 here, because you're going to use this like a multiplication table. X times 2x is 2x squared. X times -3 is -3x. So you kind of like summarize the two, columns, the row and the column. So 5 times 2x is 10x, and 5 times -3 is -15. Now we're going to combine like terms, which really are going to be these two terms right here, and then write the product right here, because it's like 10x minus 3x to get the 7x. Alrighty, let us give that a try. So I'm going to just put the first term here, so x and the -3, x and the -2, then multiply. X squared, -3x, just a way of keeping track of everything. -2x and +6. So I have x squared minus 3x minus 2x plus 6. These are my like terms. X squared minus 5x plus 6. All right, so I want you to do number 8, fill out this table, and then go ahead and simplify. Number 9, the q and the 3 and the q and the 7. So q squared 3q 7q and 21. So I have my, remember, descending order of the variable. I want to put the highest degree term first. 7 plus 3 is 10q, and then plus 21. So I went ahead, instead of writing every term in the box and doing it like this, I just kind of simplified it as I wrote it out. Okay. And next up, FOIL. So this is just kind of an acronym to help you remember all the different parts. It's really like doing the distributive property, right? Because we have to take the first term and multiply it by the first term in the second binomial. Then you take the first term and multiply it by the last term, or these are like known as the outer terms. So you can multiply your first terms together, then your outer terms, then your inner terms, and then your last terms, just to kind of help you remember. That's really all it is. It's just a kind of a remembering tool. So if we're going to FOIL this, first, outer, inner, last, a lot of times I'll do this first, outer, inner, last to help me remember, and then just kind of come down to this section right here. So let's try some of those. So first, outer, inner, last. All right, so you're taking that first one, so it's just like we did the distributive property. All right. So the first term becomes x squared minus 3x, because you have x times negative 3, then 2 times x, which is a positive 2x, and then 2 times a negative 3, which is a negative 6. So the two that are like terms are right here in the middle. You have a negative 3x plus 2x, so we get x squared minus x minus 6 as our simplified product. Okay? Go ahead and do number 14 using FOIL. And I will work on number 15. So first, outer, inner, last. So first terms multiply to h squared. The outer terms, h times 4. Inner terms and last terms. Combine like terms, h squared plus 2h minus 8. And we get a trinomial. Okay. And then the last thing we're going to do is the multiplying a binomial by a trinomial. And personally, I've never done it this way. You're more than welcome to try to follow this along. It's kind of like doing the distributive property. They're just showing you how they stack it together. So this is what I do, really. I do this, and I do this, and then I just combine all the like terms to this. I just have never set it up like that. So, again, whatever way to organize the math so it makes sense. So I know that I have to take x times x squared plus x minus 1, and I have to take negative 2 times x squared plus x minus 1. It's a lot like what we did in the first examples, but we were having a trinomial, so it makes the work spread out a lot, so I sometimes stack it. So I just distribute the first one, so x times x squared is x cubed. X times x is positive x squared, and then a negative x. But then I just keep going with this one. Negative 2 times x squared is negative 2x squared. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x, and negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2. And then if you recall from lesson 1, when we were writing descending order of the variable and we had polynomials that we were adding and subtracting, I just go through and I say, okay, this is cubed. This is going to be my first term because you need the highest order first. Then my second term would be squared, and I find all the ones that are squared. Then all the ones that are exponents of 1, and then finally the constant. And then I just kind combine them in that order. So just a lot of keeping track. So x cubed, and then we have 1 and then minus 2. So we'll have minus x squared. Then our third term is the x, so negative x minus 2x. So we'll have negative 3x. And finally, plus 2. So there should be four terms in this polynomial. Okay. I'll let you go ahead and do number 20. I'll continue on. So h times h squared minus h minus 1. 1 times our h squared minus h minus 1. So I'll start with h cubed minus h squared minus h plus, starting on the second distribution, 1 times, basically just rewriting that. Then we have 1 squared is our second term, exponent of 1 is our third term, and our fourth term. So simplified, h cubed. Then we have to combine these two, and they cancel out. Negative 1 plus 1 is 0, and so negative 1 plus 1 is 2h minus 1. This one actually multiplies and simplifies to a trinomial. Okay, so that concludes our lesson 7.2 of multiplying the polynomials.